Okay, so I decided to use this teeny tiny stone as a very preliminary materials test. I will probably do another materials test on a larger stone after I see what happens with this. I am using Coca-Cola as my etch. So that's another thing that's totally new for me, not using Coca-Cola as an etch, but using it on stone. I am very familiar with using this on foil and even ball grain plate, but I'm not really sure if the same rules are going to apply to stone. So I'm just going to do a little bit of a waterfall all over it. And massaging in some gum arabic. And the next step is just going to be to let this sit.
After I let it sit for a day, I did a roll up, followed by gumming it down and letting it sit for a few more hours. My initial impressions when rolling up was that the cola etch is far stronger on stone than it is on foil. I had to loosen up both my black and blue inks to get a decent print. The nice thing is that there was definitely no areas where it filled in other than the touche, so that's going to have to be its own test. Drawing materials like the number 5 crayon and the Mitsubishi Dermatograph, which are less greasy, seem like the cola might be a little strong, so I'm going to have to be careful with future drawings and etches. Fast forward a couple of days, and instead of making the next materials test like I should have, I jumped into creating a background for a kitchen litho I had just printed. I'm using iron oxide to transfer the image to the stone. I was thinking that a background layer would be simple enough that I wouldn't have to think too much about the drawing, and could also work similar to a materials test in terms of seeing how it would etch and print. This is where I messed things up. I'll get to the how and why a little bit later on.
This drawing was done with a variety of crayons. I have the Mitsubishi Dermatograph and a couple of litho crayons, mostly 2 and 3. And so this section out here, which was mostly done with a dermatograph, I thought I was being smart with protecting it with a bit of gum before pouring the cola. But what happens is now you have this sort of line where you can distinctly see where the gum was painted. So I won't be trying that again. I thought I was going to prevent it from being burnt out, but instead I've created a visible line within the image. But you know, you gotta mess up to learn, so oh well. My materials test little stone was a lot more successful, and for that one I just poured the cola over the entire thing, getting an even layer, and I think I will do that again for the next one. You can see here, that's that line I was talking about.
Even though it didn't turn out exactly how I wanted it to, the image was very stable through printing.
I realize it might seem weird for me to be printing this stone after I was just talking about the problems with it, but the image in which I am layering it on already has a very distinct sort of, not lines, but cuts in the image. So I thought it might actually be okay. And it turns out that it is a lot less noticeable printed here on top of these other blacks.
Now to see the finished print. And guess what? It looks lovely. I guess this little mistake turned into a big success. Thanks for watching, and see you next time for more at-home stone lithography. If anyone has actually made it this far in the video, first of all, let me say thank you. Here's an extra little glimpse at the often overlooked parts of creating a print. Because this print in question is a bleed print, meaning the ink goes all the way to the edges of the paper, I found it easier to get a quality print to the edges when starting with a slightly larger paper than necessary. Now I'm trimming off those margins, making sure all the prints are equal and uniform before signing.